Hello everyone, this is Princess here, and for today's video we are going to be talking about the next content that's dropping in Global, which is going to be Transcendence Tier 9. So the returning burst for this is going to be for Sephiroth, and then the new burst weapon is going to be for Vincent. Now the thing I want to point out about this banner, so in Vincent's banner you can see Porum's LD over there, but she did get her level 90 and her LD did re-ran already, so the banner might change. I'm not sure if it's going to be a returning LD that was brought in before or like a new LD in general, but I just wanted to like point that out. So for this video, let's talk a little bit about Vincent's LD and Burst and about Sephiroth. Okay, so actually another thing I wanted to mention was that Vincent's LD did come into Global. It was one of the Global firsts that we had gotten, and I want to say it was 4th anniversary when we got it. I could be wrong though, but it did come into Global before JP, but this is where it officially releases, so I'm still going to talk about it just in case if like for players who did not get the LD early. So Vincent's LD is called the Shadow Blast, and this grants him the skill Satan Slam Shot. It's a 4-hit AoE Brave split HP attack. It has a 90% Brave hit potency and a 150% Stolen Brave overflow. This will grant him the overhead buff Power of Chaos for 6 turns. Now, when he has Power of Chaos active and an enemy has 2 debuffs, then he can trigger his follow-up attack called Chaos Saber Shot, which is a 6-hit Brave HP attack that has a 40% Brave hit potency. It deals weakness Brave damage to debuff targets by 50%, and it has a 150% Stolen Brave overflow. And then just some other minor details to explain. So at 2 out of 3, Power of Chaos can be extended to 12 turns, and each limit break will raise Vincent's attack. As for the Power of Chaos buff itself, so this raises Vincent's attack, his max Brave, and his Stolen Brave overflow. It adds a Brave Sap after every enemy turn, and from the character boards, it will add HP damage up and extends any inflicted debuffs by 2 turns. Okay, so now for the LD call. So when you call Vincent in to use Satan Slam Shot, he will inflict Fire Res Down, Thunder Res Down, sorry, I almost burped there for a second, and his EX debuff Nightmare for 4 turns. So the caller will gets in Attack up, Max Brave up, Stolen Brave Overflow up, and then the character boards will add an HP damage up. Alright, so then we have the burst weapon, which is called the Cerberus. This will grant the finishing burst called a Finale Chaotic. So this is a 15-hit AoE Brave split HP attack with an 80% Brave hit potency. Burst effect is 10 turns, and it does a lot of stuff. So first off, it lowers the enemy's attack, max Brave, speed, and defense by 50%, lowers Brave damage resist by 30%, lowers HP damage resist by 20%, and enemies are unable to grant buffs when Vincent's burst effect is active, which is really cool, and I kind of wish that there were more burst effects like this. And then from 2 out of 3, this will add all enemies' HP damage resist down by 10% and a 30% party Brave damage cap up. So moving on to Sephiroth's Burst Plus. So his burst effect gets extended to 4 turns, which in my opinion is kind of lame because the base burst, when you use it, its effect was just 3 turns, and now with Burst Plus, it just gets extended to 4. So, I mean, if you really wanted to make some use out of this, you could like pair him with a turn hogger like Terra. Aside from that, it does add a 100% party attack up, 50% party Brave damage cap, and a 50% party Brave gain. So for me, like in my opinion, the only downside is just the burst effect being extended to another, like to 4 turns. That's it. But everything else, like the improvement from his burst effect, like for the party, I mean, that's really cool though. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Tier 9. So for the left gate, you will be fighting the Sahagin Shamans. You're going to be fighting 2 of these. They were first debuted in like Fang's event, and you kind of have an idea on how these go. So they can buff themselves up by a lot. They do have some pretty strong like group attacks, and you're going to need a white crystal character for this, so they want you to use Vincent. So for the orb, it starts at 10, appears when the fight starts, and it does not cancel out. And there are 2 ways to raise the orb. You can raise it by 1 when inflicting 2 or more debuffs in one turn, or by 2 when the enemy is afflicted with 4 or more debuffs at the end of its turn. So you want to take like a debuffer with you. So you can go really debuff heavy and bring someone like Kefka, Yuffie, or Ferris, or take someone like Orin or Fran with you, and just have a white crystal character. So then for the right gate, you're going to need a green crystal character for this, and the bosses are going to be the Wild Sharers. It's the boss, those giant bear bosses from Siren's event. They are going to be immune to Poison Wound and Puncture Wound, which I believe were the debuffs that they can inflict on you, so you can't throw it back at them. So for just a general idea on what these bears did, there were like some debuffs that they can inflict. They could also have this aura where they can gain a ton of Brave, and you would be dealing 1 damage the whole time. So my advice for that is to take a gravity-based call, either X-Death or a Metatelian, and you should be good to go. As for the orb itself, so the orb starts at 10. It appears when the fight starts and does not cancel out. There's 2 ways to raise up the orb, either by 1 when the player's stacked buff is at 5, so having someone like Zac or Terra or Noct or Gladio or Siren, or you can raise it up by 1 if the boss is afflicted with 1 or more gold debuffs, so someone like Sephiroth or Kadaj. And now we have the middle gate, and I'm just going to tell you right now, I absolutely hated this fight. I would die several times because the orb would go off, the recast attack would kill someone, or I would have to do the whole fight over because I didn't meet the turn requirements. So yeah, I freaking hated this fight. So I'm going to give you probably my best tips so that this fight is not going to be annoying for you as it was for me. Okay, so like I said, the bosses are going to be the Anger Hawks, or as I like to call them, Rock Hawk. If you play Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so when the orb appears, it's going to be at 30. It appears when the fight starts and does not cancel out. So there's 2 ways to raise up the orb, either by 4 by inflicting 4 or more debuffs, or by 2 when the boss is inflicted with 1 or more gold frame debuffs. So bringing a debuffer, like I mentioned before, or someone like Sephiroth or Kadaj. So on top of that, the other thing I wanted to mention about this fight is that at thresholds, the bosses will dispel any debuffs that you put on them. They will buff themselves up with like 5 buffs, and sometimes they can grant themselves a Brave Shield of 1 million. So make sure you take a DPS character with you. So also another thing, for every buff that is applied, the orb will go down by 3. So for every 5 buffs, that's like 15 total. So the orb can go down by 15, which is very scary for me. So the best thing I can tell you, keep the orb above 15 when they're about to dispel their buffs. Bring a DPS character and have some damage reduction as well, either in the party or as a call. So with that being said, I'm going to head over to JP now, and I'm going to showcase Vincent's Eldian Burst. So I will be right back. Okay, so we're back on JP. So this is just tier 9 over here. So here's the left gate with the Sahagan Shamans. This is the one that I'm going to go on just to showcase Vincent's skills. Here's the right gate with the Wild Sharers. And then the middle gate, which has the Bootleg Rockhawks. I forgot their names already. Anyway, so here is my Vincent over here. I did actually green him because his burst effect really interested me, and I really wanted to have it greened just in case if I needed it for any specific fight. And right over here is the LD passive, which I'm pretty sure majority of global players have already. So with that being said, we're going to get started. So right off the bat, I think I'm just going to go right in and use his burst, just so I can also show off like his LD as well. So here is Satan Slam Shot. For the record, I have no idea what the burst theme is for his burst phase. It could be something from Dirge of Cerberus, I'm not too sure. It's also really quiet. Oh, and the follow-up that you saw there, that was Chaos Saber Shot. So, remember, the key requirements to get that follow-up is to have at least two debuffs on the boss, and Vincent has his Power of Chaos effect active, which is right over there. So I think I'm just gonna skip ahead to the finishing burst, so I will be right back. Alright, so here is the finishing burst. Here is Chaotic Finale, or Finale Chaotic. This is pretty cool. He transforms into whatever this form is. I did not play Dirge of Cerberus, so I don't know what this is. I don't even know if this isn't Dirge of Cerberus. Alright, so now the burst effect is on, so I'm going to, so when the, boss A over here gets his turn, this is like usually when they start, how do I say this? He's gonna buff himself up, but because Vincent's burst effect is active, you're not gonna see those buffs. So I'm just gonna use Blade Block. If you hear any kids crying, my window is open, I'm sorry. It's kind of hot where I am right now. Alright, so right over here, this should be the, yeah, right here. The buffs did not appear at all, and it's all thanks to Vincent's burst effect. So it's pretty nice. I don't see myself using this a lot, but it can be pretty situational depending on the fights. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know if you will be pulling for Vincent's burst, and if you're going to green him or Sephiroth. And I will see you all next time.